My name is Randy Hasse. I'm a voice from your past. I was the pastor from 1991 to 2013, and it was a joy and an honor and a privilege to be the pastor of what is now Stuart Church. When I first came, it was Christ Church of Stuart. Then it became Stuart Congregational United Church of Christ. Then just Stuart Congregational Church. So through the years, there's been many changes, and you all just keep moving forward. So that's great. I told you about changing the names of the church. Well, we did it because we were originally Christ Church of Stuart as a United Church of Christ, and we were part of their program of starting new churches. But then one Sunday, Phil and Ruth Kelly visited the church, and they said they had a hard time finding us because they had been a member of a United Church of Christ up in Michigan, and were looking for one in Stuart, and they couldn't find one. And they just happened to stumble upon us. And so that was the reason we changed our name to Stuart Congregational United Church of Christ, because there were people moving down from the north, and we wanted to welcome as many of those people as possible to let them know we were there, and they were welcome to join the church and the fellowship. So that's the reason for that name change. Let's see, there were some questions about the windows. The windows were all done, all the stained glass windows were done by Paul Piquel from Piquel Studios in Vero Beach. Now, the four gospel windows were originally in the chapel in the back, and they were kind of hidden, so we thought moving them to the sanctuary would be a great place to place them, and they just seemed to be perfect there. The other windows, they go around the sanctuary. I think they start on the left with the New Testament, and they go to the right on the Old Testament, and then out in the vestibule, they're kind of general pictures about our faith. And Paul Piquel designed those also. You can see by the windows that he's a marvelous artist and does great technique in making stained glass windows. The one in the very front of the church was put in out of self-defense. When the church was originally built, it was a clear glass window, and we discovered that people sitting in the middle section of the church, as the sun was rising in the east, the sun was hitting them right in the eyes, and so we needed to do something to dampen the power of the sun. So we asked Paul Piquel to design a window to go there, and what he tried to do with the window was show rising from the earth up into the heavens. And I think it's just a beautiful window, and just looks so nice there in the front of the church. Be nice to your pastor. And here I'm speaking to you as a pastor. Be nice to him. Dino only wants the very best for you. And you may disagree with him sometime, but know that he's always on your side. And so receive the love he has to give, and then pass it on around the congregation. Most people don't know how the church came to be started. It actually started because the original pastor, Dr. John DeGangi, was fired as pastor of Jensen Beach Community Church, and there were people who really liked him and supported him, and so when he lost his job, they surrounded him and decided to start a church for him. And that's how Stuart Church was started as Christ Church of Stuart. And had it not been for the choices of Jensen Beach Community Church, Stuart Church would not be in existence today.
That's something. That's amazing.
And they started in a restaurant, right?
The original met in the back room of a restaurant. George's. It was George's restaurant.
Right.
And the back room in which they met was used as a party room. And they would come in on Sunday morning and have to straighten up the room. And sometimes it had a very strong odor of liquor. And so they had to kind of clear that out. And when the very first meetings, they offered a free breakfast in George's restaurant to anyone who came to the service. But that's how they got started. I don't remember the names of all of the streets, but one of the streets was Canner Highway, and the cross street was the one that runs into
Monterey?
Monterey. So it was Canner Highway and Monterey on the northeast corner. And so if he was going around and would not enter a room, then everybody knew that was it.
Hello, grace and peace to you in the name of the Lord Jesus Christ. I'm Pastor Tim Roberts, and I'm so happy to be celebrating your history, the history of Stuart Congregational Church, and to have been part of that history. I was only your third installed senior pastor after founding pastor John DeGangi and then Randy Hasse. And I served Stuart Congregational from May 2013 until July 2022, approximately 9 years and 3 months, a better part of a decade of my life, and what a joy it is to say that. During my tenure with you, I calculated these things. I did 70 funerals in 9.3 years, a dozen weddings, and preaching approximately 46 Sundays per year, 2 sermons per Sunday. That came out to 855 sermons in 9.3 years. That's a lot of preaching in your midst, and what a joy it was. I can remember beginning weeks of my tenure going to the NACCC conference with Tom Moore. You all know that you're part of the National Association of Congregational Christian Churches. That is the affiliation that you are a part of, and that was my introduction to the NACCC. And it has given identity and focus to our congregation at Stuart Congregational Church for many, many years. When we moved into the ensuing years, we began a number of projects. One was a major tech upgrade and renovation of the chapel, because we began a contemporary service called the Epic Service. It was an incredible upgrade that we did there. And so we had 2 services going on, the contemporary in the chapel and the traditional in the sanctuary. One day, Dr. Larry Beachy came to me and he said, "Why can't we have the same technology in the sanctuary for the traditional crowd that you have in the chapel for the contemporary crowd?" And I said, "Well, if there's interest, we can do that." And then it just so happened by God's providence that Otto and Barbara Kaufman came to me and said, "You know what? I think we should put some screens in the sanctuary so we can read the hymns better and even the bulletin better." And he funded that entire project. That's how the tech grew from the chapel into the sanctuary. We also had projects like building the playground that's between the spaces of the sanctuary and the main building. The Harris Cafe was another major renovation project. The Harris family, who are from in Seattle, they funded that completely. It was a major, major thing. There were some notable events throughout my tenure, including the addition of the For the Love of Learning School with Krista Cromwell and her crew, the Hispanic church that I believe is still renting from you all, and they are wonderful, wonderful folks. We had an ongoing partnership with Palm Beach Atlantic University Seminary, and we had some students that went there and some interns that came to us from them. We also, in our partnership with the NACCC, the National Association of Congregational Christian Churches, we had a connection with Piedmont College. Their president and chaplain came to visit us, and they brought their choir to us, and as a result, we ended up sending a couple of our own students to school there. Abby Nygaard and Zoe Roberts went there. Speaking of Nygaards, one of the most important additions to our staff was Mark Nygaard, as many of you know and love Mark. Who doesn't know and love Mark? And by the way, Mark and Dorian, theirs was one of my dozen weddings at Stuart Congregational. Mark came on, though, in the beginning as our director of contemporary worship and youth ministry, and he did a fantastic job during that time. You might recall, some of you, that we had an associate pastor, Katie Cribbs, who came simply as a congregant early on. I learned that she had a seminary degree, that she had some skills and gifts for ministry, and we tutored her, we discipled her, and she engaged more and more in ministry until she went into an ordination process that we put together for her, eventually ordaining her and calling her as our associate pastor at Stuart Congregational Church. We regularly had weekly Bible studies for men, for women. We had co-ed Bible studies. We had regular youth group. There was a yearly confirmation class that we engaged in with our teenagers. Some other highlights were our yearly surf camp and fishing camps. Those were really spectacular events that were partnering with our community and genuine outreach. In January of 2020, we hosted a trip to Israel, and I led a great group. We had an amazing time. We came back from Israel January 2020, and you know what happened next? COVID. COVID was right on the heels of that trip, and that changed everything. We had to figure out how to do everything as if it was brand new, and we had to do everything online. We had to Zoom. Zoom became huge. Our worship was online. Bible studies were online. All meetings were online. We did eventually come together and meet in our parking lot out of doors, and we had a blended service, some of you may recall, with some tents and tarps, and people brought their camping chairs, and it was actually a spectacular experience out of doors during COVID. And then it wasn't too long after that I began to receive a call where I am now serving the Pink Church, First Presbyterian Church, down in Pompano Beach, just an hour south of you all. So there you have it. There's some highlights from my tenure with you. And so I wish you Godspeed, God's blessings, and may the Lord bless you and keep you this day and every day. Amen.
Hi, happy Wednesday. My name is Andrea Radak, and I've been a part of Stuart Congregational Church since 2003. So a little over 20 years now, which is kind of cool. I started coming here when I was in 3rd grade. I was brought by a friend to Miss Barbara's youth group, and I had so much fun, I decided to never leave. Stuart Congregational Church has been such a wonderful part of my life and the foundation for the relationship that I now have with Jesus and God. It's carried me through my school years, my undergraduate, going to college, my graduate program, being away from my daughter while I was studying, and even today in my practice in my home life. So I'm just so thankful for everybody at the church. The grounds, I think, are just blessed. The people are blessed. We have been blessed with wonderful pastors and leaders that have come and made their mark on our church. I've been to churches all around the world, Orlando, Texas, New York, wherever I've lived. And there's just something so special about this place and these walls. And I'm so thankful to be able to come back home and to bring my daughter here. And she got baptized on Christmas Eve, and I plan on having this baby be a part of the church and just to grow in their faith. So I'm just really thankful for this church and its people and what it's done in my life and my family's life. And I just feel so blessed, and I know everyone here is blessed as well. Thank you.
Okay, this is Carolyn Jacobus, and Carolyn has been coming to our church for many years, but she'll tell you a little bit about it. And she is from Wisconsin, spending her 6 months and 1 day here. So Carolyn, talk about, when did you come? Do you recall?
Well, I don't know the exact year, but it was a good 35 some years ago.
Okay.
It's been a while.
And you and your husband came, or is it with your
yes,
family?
my husband came, and we were just looking for a wonderful place to have a home
And
out
didn't,
of Wisconsin.
yeah, didn't you say too your daughter was down here?
Yes, I had a daughter living in Stuart at that time then, and so that was a joy to have her in my vicinity, our vicinity, to share time together.
Yes.
That was heavenly.
Heavenly. And you came to how did you find Stuart Congregational?
Well, we just really began as just the minister was just one small building with the chapel, and that just began one very limited space, but a joy of family and friends that came together. And I wish I could remember his name.
Was that Randy?
Pardon me?
Would that have been Randy?
Randy. That was Randy. Thank you. I was going to come up with that, but that was Randy way back. And I remember then when he did have to leave, and went down to the Southwest, I think.
He retired.
He retired,
Yeah,
yes.
after 22 years.
Yes, he was been a joy.
And he was a
And
joy.
he did create a wonderful church that has continued to be
Yeah.
growing and
So
wonderful.
this was your home
Support.
church then?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my, yes. This has been my church forever.
Oh, thank you. Okay, I thank you for taking time.
Oh, thank
We
you.
appreciate it.
I'm going
Thank
to
you.
do that. Thank you very much.
In 1995, I was first introduced to this church when my dad, Jim McNeil, and my stepmom, Barbara McNeil, moved down from Connecticut to Stuart. And we used to come down to visit every Christmas and loved the church. As it turned out, in 2001, myself and my family, we moved to Stuart, and my dad said, "Here's your church you're going to be going to." And this church, from the very beginning we've ever been here, has always been a very welcoming, warm, and loving church. My youngest daughter, went through the confirmation class here, was very involved in the youth group, and had wonderful times going on mission trips with them. I used to enjoy working with the Sunday school, and Barbara with her Christian ministry for the children. And throughout the years, as life changes and goes back and forth, the church has always been here for us. Now my dad and my stepmom are right outside in the columbarium, and I have my space for this is our home. I love my church. It's there's just such a warm community, and it gives me that family. It's my family, and something that will always be here for me.
Judy, Lay, here you are. Come and talk to us. You've been here for a number of years, I know, so let's start from where you came. What year would that have been?
I joined in 2003, or I started coming then. I may not have joined till 2005. But I first met Randy in 1991 at a housewarming party at Willoughby Golf Club, where Trish Smith and her husband, who were members here of the church, and Trish's parents were members here. Trish and her husband were having a housewarming party. And I actually met Randy in the laundry room. And I was so impressed with him. He was so personable and just liked him immediately. But it was almost another 10 years before I started coming here, because we had a business where we worked every Sunday. And once we sold our business, retired, I knew I wanted to get back to coming to church. Church was very similar to the one I grew up in Ohio. And I remembered Randy from meeting him in 1981, and I also had friends already here at this church, and I just started coming.
Good, great. Well, tell a little bit about what you've done over the years. You've been here and you've been very involved.
Well, and again, it was because of Randy that I am in the position that I am right now. Never
that
thought
is?
I would be there. Financial secretary. John Schneider had been our financial secretary forever, I'm sure more than 20 years. And Randy asked Norm and I to help him because he knew he was getting up in years and his wife was not well. And Norm had the accounting background. And so we started helping John, and John taught me how to run the computer and enter all the contributions. And then John dies rather suddenly, and Bill Plasso, who worked with John for years, then he worked with Norm and I learned how to enter everything into the computer. And then Bill dies, and then as time went on, Norm had a stroke in 2014, and then it was sort of dumped in my hands. And that's how I became financial secretary.
And you've been doing a fabulous job ever since. We just love hearing what you've done and seeing what you've done.
Hi, I'm Brooke Murphy, and Barbara McManus asked me to make a video for your church. Used to be our church. We joined Stuart Congregational in 1995 and were there till, I think, 2015. So after that, we retired and we moved to Murphy, North Carolina. Just to tell you some of the advantages of volunteering and some of my best, most fond memories of your church is I was superintendent of Sunday schools, started a quilt volunteer ministry that we gave quilts to hospice. We gave them to the police and the fire department for victims of fires, any kind of home that would possibly foster children that would possibly need a quilt for something in distress, that would maybe give them comfort. We gave stuffed animals. I was also superintendent of the Sunday school. A lot of interaction with kids, from car washes to going roller skating to, gosh, I don't even know. But some of my best times. My son is 33 now. We started there when he was 3, and he still talks about what a fun church it was, between golf tournaments and sailing trips. He remembers it all with great joy. So a lot of joy in volunteering. Believe it or not, I was also in the praise team. Not very good at singing, but I was there. Another warm body. Anyway, we understand that your church is regrouping and getting it on again, so we want to wish you all the love and success that's possible. And I hear you're doing all sorts of great things. So that's where I'm at. We've been retired for 11 years up here in the hills of North Carolina, and we do a lot of volunteer work at our church. Lots of volunteer work. And around the house, our joy is we have rescue animals. I've had 3 horses, I don't know how many cats, how many dogs, and we love it all, and we love our life. It's a lot quieter and slower, but, at our age, we are slower. So, best wishes, and God bless you all. Thank you.